Marcus Aurelius, who was once the most powerful person in the known world, tried to live a good life according to Stoic theory. In contrast to many other Roman emperors, he didn't take advantage of the many joys available to him. He didn't drink too much wine or watch sadistic events at the Colosseum. Marcus Aurelius was driven by his desire to complete the task that fortune had given him, which was to help people. Because of this, he was very determined to reach his goal. But he knew that in order to do this, he had to care less about things that lacked worth or knowledge, and it's important to note that there were a lot of these things. Epictetus and Caridian made a clear distinction between things we can control and things we can't. This is one of the most important ideas in Stoicism. We can't control most, if not all things, outside of what we do. Does that mean we should give up on everything? Not exactly, but the Stoics think that we should be realistic about how little power we have over these things, and that if we aren't, we make our lives harder than they need to be. When life hurts, it's usually because we're putting our feelings into things we can't change. When we do this, we unintentionally give these things the power to control and influence us like puppeteers. We then blame these puppeteers for pulling our strings, even though we are the ones who gave them the power to do so. But if we remove our emotional interest in these things, we take away their power over us and give ourselves the peace to not be bothered by them. Marcus Aurelius didn't let things that were out of his control bother him. This helped him deal with the many responsibilities and challenges he had as emperor and keep his mind on the job. He thought the gods had given him Epictetus sort as a sign of freedom. For some people, not being affected by outside forces or just a few of them could help them focus on goals that really matter, while for others, it could just be a way to live a happy, relaxed life. What are the things that we should stop doing when life hurts? The most important question is, how do we do it? This movie explores and gives a free interpretation of Marcus Aurelius's ideas about how to care less about things that don't matter. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius talks a lot about the differences between the present, the past, and the future. In each category, the ancient Roman emperor had good things to say about how we think about them too much, the wrong ways, or about the wrong things. This article is broken up into these sections, starting with the future, to make it easier to understand and follow. Seneca said it very well: we often go through more trouble in our minds than in real life. This statement backs up the idea that our thoughts are the source of our pain. This statement backs up the idea that our thoughts are the source of our pain. When we think about the future, our imaginations often run wild, coming up with a lot of different possible events, most of which are unlikely to happen. We think about how to deal with these possible outcomes while shaking with fear because we don't know how the future will turn out. Sometimes what happens is what we expect, but a lot of the time, fortune strikes us and throws us off guard with things we couldn't have planned for. Think about this. We might have spent years carefully planning and saving for a well-deserved retirement, only to be hit with a terrible cancer diagnosis that tells us we only have a few months to live, just as we're about to enter our golden years. People are often in a constant state of worry just because these things could happen. From the best-case scenarios to the worst-case scenarios, the range of possible results is wide. What if there is a terrible Third World War? What happens if we lose all of our money? There is no doubt that these terrible things could happen, but as long as they aren't happening now, we can't do anything about them because they aren't happening, at least not yet. We can only think about them. We worry about the future only because we think about it. The future doesn't exist outside of our minds. Marcus Aurelius said that the only thing that weighs on us is the weight of the present moment, not the weight of the future. We don't hurt ourselves because of the future itself. We hurt ourselves because of how we deal with it now. The worry about what will happen in the future actually happens in the moment. In a strange way, the future doesn't happen in the present, because by the time we meet it, it's already the present. So, the sadness we feel about the future comes from our fears and concerns right now. When we worry too much about what will happen in the future, life starts to hurt, because we live through those things in our minds and let them rule our present. So, what does Marcus Aurelius say about worrying too much about the future? First, let's look at this quote. "Never let the future bother you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason you use to fight the present." He was saying that if he could deal with the challenges of the present, he could also deal with the challenges of the future. He told himself not to worry about all the bad things that could happen. Instead, he told himself to focus on what was happening right now. When he thought about the here and now, he realized he could handle it. If he can handle what's happening now, why wouldn't he be able to handle what's to come? This way of thinking is similar to the idea of amor fati, which is the love of fate, but it is strengthened by the belief that we can get through it. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself of how quickly life goes by and disappears into the infinite, which we can't understand. We can't do anything in either the past or the future. What's over is over, and unless we find a way to go back in time, we can't do anything about it. Marcus Aurelius said it well. Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone or not yet revealed. Therefore, man's life is short, and the corner of the earth where he lives is narrow. Despite the fact that we only live in the present, we often worry too much about the past and the future, which we can't change. Marcus Aurelius said that the past doesn't mean anything and doesn't matter right now. It's not that things that happened in the past don't affect us now, or that we can't learn from them. It's just that we can't change the past, because it's gone, and our memories of it are often jumbled. There aren't many ways to find out what really happened. We remember things from our own and other people's points of view, so the past is not only out of reach, but our memories of it are most likely wrong. Still, we can't let go of our feelings about things that happened in the past. We often think about them again and again, which brings back the pain they caused. Some people think that if we think about the past, we can change it. This is a deceptive notion, though. The past is something that can't be brought back. It's gone beyond our reach. All that we can control now is how we think about something that has long since been washed away and will never come back. People often say things like, "I wish I could have handled that differently," but those wishes are based on things that can't be changed. These thoughts only make you want things you can never have, which is not a good thing. Marcus Aurelius didn't think about what happened in the past as much as how he felt about it. We can't change what happened in the past, and it's likely that we couldn't stop them when they happened in the present either. But we can decide how we'll act when these things happen. At first, we might think that our past was bad. We might have had a hard childhood, lost friends, or tried and failed to start a business. But Marcus Aurelius said that what these things are doesn't matter as much as how we deal with them. He said, "It's unfortunate that this has happened. No, it's fortunate that this has happened, and I've remained unharmed by it, not broken by the present or afraid of the future. It could have happened to anyone, but not everyone could have remained unharmed by it. Why treat one as a misfortune and the other as fortunate? Can you really call something a misfortune that doesn't go against human nature?" Marcus Aurelius was an interesting person because he didn't totally ignore the past. Instead, he saw that it could be useful as a way to learn. He thought that by looking at the patterns and rhythms of the past, how things tend to go up and down and often repeat themselves, we can learn things that will help us plan for and predict the future. From this point of view, we can draw from the past to figure out what might happen in the future. Marcus Aurelius says over and over that we only have control over the present moment. It is the small area that we can get to right away. It gives us a place to look into the endless depths of the past and the incomprehensible darkness of the future. Marcus Aurelius stayed committed to staying in the present and focusing on what he could control, which was the present moment. Still, even when we let go of the past and worry less about the future, we often worry too much about things that don't really matter, like what's happening right now. We are often unhappy with how life is going right now, and when things don't go the way we want them to, we often give in to feelings like anger, sadness, or hopelessness. But Marcus Aurelius said that it is pointless to let what fortune throws at us make us feel bad. We can't change how the world works, but we can change how we respond to it. Still, we often get upset when we don't like what's going on, or when what we want doesn't happen. Marcus Aurelius said that we shouldn't fight what we have to. He said that people who fight with fortune are like pigs that kick and scream when they are being killed. We can't stop what the gods have planned for us. We can't stop people from wanting to go to war, stop natural events from happening, or stop our bodies from getting older. In the same way, we can't force the world to do what we want. We can't be sure that the people we like will feel the same way about us, and we can't be sure that everyone will have the same chances in life. This is impossible by nature, yet we often spend a lot of time and energy fighting things that can't be changed, even though we have ways to do so. When things don't go the way we want, we feel angry. When things don't go the way we want, we feel sad. So, the present turns into a torture cell where we have to deal with the random whims of fortune. On the other hand, sometimes we fall in love with the present and cling to it with all our might, afraid to let go of what we have. We give up power again to the whims of fortune, but because everything around us is fleeting and hard to control, we often can't see what's really up to us, our decisions, actions, and thoughts. Marcus Aurelius thought that the rule of nature was our boss. He thought that if we run away from it or feel sad or angry about it, we are nothing but deserters and fugitives. We should not waste our time being disgusted by or clinging to the way things are, but instead should accept, welcome, and work with them. In the 7th book of Meditations, Marcus Aurelius gave advice on how to live in the moment. He said that instead of focusing on what we don't have, we should think about what we do have. But he said that this method should be taken with care. In his own words, treat what you don't have as if it doesn't exist. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think about how much you'd want them if you didn't have them. But be careful not to get so much pleasure from them that you start to overvalue them to the point where losing them would make you sad. Still, accepting your situation can be hard, especially when you're going through a lot of hard times or when life keeps giving you lemons. One might wonder if asking for a break is too much. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, said that being in trouble shouldn't be a reason to act like frightened animals. Instead, he said that these problems are opportunities to practice virtue, which basically means to put Stoic theory into practice in one's life. The most important thing about life isn't the beauty and luck of our surroundings, because these things are fundamentally random, fragile, and out of our control. The Stoics say that what really counts is how we deal with the things that happen to us. Marcus Aurelius thought this should be our top priority. Marcus Aurelius said, "Because to me, the present is a chance to practice rational virtue, civic virtue. In short, the art that men and gods share. Both treat whatever happens as holy, natural, not new or hard to deal with, but familiar and easy to handle." As we come to the end of this enlightening trip through Marcus Aurelius's timeless advice, Remember that you hold the key to a calmer, stronger life. Are you ready to learn more about Stoicism? Find out how to live a happy life with our exclusive ebook, which you can get by clicking on the link in the saved comments. Don't miss out on future Stoic ideas and advice that will be useful. Join our group by clicking the subscribe button and the notify me bell. Thank you for coming with us on this trip that will change us. Your search for knowledge and peace of mind starts now. Sign up for more and start your journey to becoming a better person.